What's up, confidant? It's your girl, Father Longlegs, Daddy T, Teresa Lee. You know me. This is You Can Tell Me Anything. It's the podcast where comedians confess something they want to get off their chest. I used to say that they confess something they've never told anyone before, but then someone got on my dick about it because they were like, I've heard them talk about this. And I'm like, well, I basically just tell people don't use a story you do on stage or that you've like done on TV. But yes, okay, we talk a lot. Not everything is secret, but the idea is this is the first time you're hearing it. I don't know why I'm explaining myself. Maybe because this is the first time I'm recording an episode from quarantine. So like this is a new me. I don't know what's going to happen. I am a little bit off my rocker. It's true. You can tell. Okay. Mel is laughing at me. I'm going to introduce my guest via Skype. I love her so much. We used to have a sketch duo together in New York. She now moved to LA, yet we are still separated by a video screen because of the quarantine. It's Mel Owens. What's up?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here on the other side of the screen.
Oh my God, I am so excited to be able to record with you. It is very funny and ironic to me, though, that like I was like, I can't wait for you to be in LA so you can do my pod. We could have done it this whole time.
I know, and then like immediately, like I feel like I like got here and then was like, okay, cool, looking for apartments, and then boom, you're
not.
So
you
which is
could have been in New York this whole time. No, I think it's nice that you're home with your family and all that. But,
totally.
Well, I'm really excited you're here. I like to start off by asking my guests for a good confession. You know, just to have a positive note. God knows we need it now. Is there something good you'd like to confess, Mel?
I think something good that I don't ever think about, but sometimes I like notice. I think I might be good at like asking for help when I need it. You know what I mean?
That's a great one.
Yeah, because like there's been times in my life where I'm like, I'm really not good at being alone. So this whole situation is a lot. But
you don't have to add a negative. You can just have a good. It's really hard for comedians, myself included, to say a good thing. That's why I do this, because people will be like, here's a good thing, but then here's the bad. It's like, no. Just say the good thing.
That's my like immediate like okay, yes. I'm good at asking for help. And yeah, I feel like I'll reach out to people and be like, here's what I need, or like back when we used to be able to see each other, I'd
yes, that's true. Yeah. You are good at that, and I think that is a really, really good skill to have, and I think a lot of people do struggle with that, and myself included. I think I've gotten a little bit better about that, and I try to surround myself with people like you. Like I try to learn those qualities from people. But yeah, I remember, I guess it was last year. Time passes so weird now. But you asked me about starting a podcast, and we had a call, and I thought that was really cool. Because I like that you're not. I feel like when you've asked me for things like that, it's been, I feel like not, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say non-intrusive because intrusive is too harsh, but do you know what I mean? I think people get afraid to ask because they think it'll be putting upon someone, but I don't. Right. I feel like you have a very good demeanor about it. I can't find the word. There's like an actual word I feel like to use, like professional maybe. Etiquette. Your etiquette is good.
That's so nice. Yeah. I mean, I just feel, there's so much like knowledge and stuff we could all share with each other, and why not,
Well, the example I would use for a bad version is like, because it does happen, and we all ask each other for help. I ask people for help too, and I try to keep that in mind of like, well, how is this going to be received, right? It's not the asking part that's bad. It's the like for example, I've also gotten people asking about podcasts where they'll it's kind of like a Facebook message, and it's like, here's a bunch of questions, can you answer me soon, like right now. Like there's just a difference where it was really cool that you were like, hey, I want to chat, if you have time, can we have a call? And I was like, that's perfect, because then I can actually tell you what I can answer your questions and feel like I'm helping you without having to be like, oh, I got a Facebook message, I have to remember to respond.
Yeah, like that always feels like more like, I don't know, it feels more like when you have to type out things sometimes.
Yeah, because I really do like answering things when I can. Like, I think I agree with you. Like, we should all share our knowledge. And I'm not an expert in many things, but if I can help somehow, I will. But I also don't like to give wrong information. So if it's like suddenly asked in passing, I'm like, I don't know, I have to think about it. But a phone call is like a really good way to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something like should I text him, my answer to someone will always be yes. So that's probably not
Oh, I
where
definitely
I should.
asked you, should I
But
text him before, I feel like.
yeah,
Man,
and I'm always like, yeah, if you thought about it, for sure.
I feel like we've both grown. Okay, so just a little background because it's been a minute, but you and I had a sketch duo in New York over 5 years ago called Wait What? And I feel
Hmm.
like we've both grown a lot since then, but in a good way. But it's cool. I
Yeah,
love to like look back sometimes on the sketches we did because I think they're super fun. But when I look back on some of like the characters who were very much just me, me, like it's like I'm like it was a character, but it was me. I feel I've come a long way in a good way. Like the mindset was like, play hard to get, don't text him, like blah blah blah. And now I'm just like,
yeah,
if you want to do it, do it. Like why not?
yeah. It was like when I look at our sketches, I'm like, it was a time and a place, and without that time and a place, like, I don't think I would be like who I am. Like, I feel like I
Mhm.
grew so much, both with like learning how to do sketches,
Mhm. Mhm.
like that whole process, and then also just like as a person, like I think like for me, like what I've like over the years have like I'm like, oh, I'll just take more ownership over what I do, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
if I get a bad outcome, it's like, well, you knew that could happen, so such is life. Like,
That's true. Well, okay, I like to ask this of my guests because it's sort of this pod is sort of loosely inspired by like me going to therapy and just like confessionals and sort of that idea, mental health. What's your
mhm.
relationship with therapy? Have you gone? Do you go? What do you think of it?
Yeah, I was going I was going like once a week in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and then I moved back to California at like the end of January. So I was able to do like video calls with my person until
Mm-hmm.
my insurance was over, which was the end of January. So now I need to find somebody again in California,
Who will
which,
also be on video?
yeah, who will most likely
It's
be on
all
video.
video now. Oh my god.
Yeah, but no,
Uh,
I like it. I think I used to be like a little hesitant to it because I was like, oh, I could like read books and stuff or like talk to my friends and have wine. And it's like, oh, because it is work, to
yes.
do that and like, emotionally, physically going, not anymore, but like it
Especially
used
in
to be.
LA when there's traffic. I mean, I was driving to West Hollywood from North Hollywood for a while, and that's a
And
lot of work.
I'm going to learn what that means very soon.
Oh man, can't wait for you to find out about traffic. No,
Oh, I'm so excited.
well, I think that's really cool, and also not to diminish like the importance of friends. Like that is also a piece of it. It's like
Yeah,
therapy doesn't replace having the support from your friends. I think that's really good to have, but it's a different part of your brain because I think your friends help support you and comfort you and, listen, but they're not there to fix you and they're not there to give you homework, but your
right.
therapist is like a professional who is supposed to like help you like, progress. It's like a coach, right? Like you have your
Yeah,
teammates who are your friends who you play with, and then you have your coach who's like, okay, here's what you did. Here's what you got to do.
exactly. So it's like, I think when I was like younger, I didn't realize that it's like, oh, you need both of these. Or like for me, I'm like, oh, I need both of these things.
Yeah, I actually went maybe too far the other way recently because like I've just been last year was really focused on trying to like fix not I shouldn't say fix grow, that's a better word, just like grow certain things in my like mental health, and I
Hmm.
was going to a lot of therapists and specific for different things, so it's not like I was going crazy, but at a certain point like my therapist from EMDR did say like, do you have like friends you can talk to? I was like it made me laugh because like I don't, she didn't mean it like that, but she literally did ask like, do you have friends you can talk to? Like while I was at therapy, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I do, but you made me feel bad saying that. But she had a good point because I think her point is like this isn't the band-aid that's gonna fix everything. It's just a piece of it. It's you have to also be out in the world like exercising those tools you've learned, like having the relationships. You can't just like work on yourself and then go talk to a therapist and be isolated. You have to like actually have friendships and relationships and try out those skills.
Yeah, and like put in the work and like build up the resilience and like the tolerance and like all of these things.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
I'm really glad that you that's helped you, and we're both grown from our days of you up texting. I mean, we were pioneers, truly. If anyone listening to this has no idea, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, I almost don't want them to look it up because I'm like, it might, production value wise, we've come a long way. But you know what? For the sake of old times, like if you guys want to know what I'm talking about, look up Wait What sketch on YouTube. I'm sure if you search like my name or Mel's, you'll see it. But we did these like very short, sort of like bite-sized sketch videos, all about kind of like hookup culture in New York, right? But I didn't even think of it that way. It was just about us. It was like where we were in our heads at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, we did like an entire show that was truly like about like our like exes, and exes is such a strong word. Exes is like a really strong word. Like they were a hookup.
That's right.
And we like invited them without even like thinking,
oh my God,
that's a little nuts. But I loved that.
Did they come? No. I know exactly. Okay. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I'm like, did I invite him? But I definitely did material in front of him in his house about how I showed up to his house. Wow. How far we've come. And maybe not at all. Who knows? And that's so funny. That's right. Wow, what a time. But that's just a testament to how, learning and growing won't make you any less funny, I think, hopefully. I feel like that was a fear I used to have. Just like if I wasn't a constant mess, I would stop being funny because all my material was about just my being like, I mean, I guess looking back, I call it pain. That sounds very serious. It's not that serious. We were having fun. But truly it was like me not being able to handle like my emotions, and that to me was very funny because I used humor to cope. But now I'm like, I think I'm better. I'm not perfect yet. There's a long way to go, but I think you still can find jokes. So
totally. And I had that same fear of like, oh, well, if I'm not like a mess, like what is even going to be funny? Like, like how they say like Adele like wrote her best albums after true heartbreak, and it's like, oh no, you can just be like a whole person working on yourself and like pursue like artistic things, and it's okay.
Yes. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I wanted to read a tweet of yours. I've been doing this sometimes, and sometimes I forget when I introduce my guest, but
oh my God,
what you said reminded me of your tweet, and I really enjoyed this. I said, how many times can I organize my closet before I get bored and I'm forced to learn to love myself? So I think that's very on theme. I related to that because I too have been having problems being isolated and alone with my thoughts, but forced to do self-triage. And I think I did kind of learn to love myself, as annoying as that sounds, but only because I was like hating. Yeah, I was like literally like hating myself, having nightmares and breaking down. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just have to figure it out. So I did.
I know, because I'm like, oh, like I'm my only friend in real life anyways,
Yeah.
So I guess I'm getting real close.
So that's fun, and I like that tweet because it's both funny and I think it's like a perspective that is interesting. Well, that brings me to my next point. Mel, is there anything you would like to tell me?
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of crazy.
Okay.
But so when I was living in New York, I went to a brunch and I didn't drink at this brunch, but on my way home, I was on like Canal Street and like Essex. So like pretty busy street, especially like when we could all go outside. And I had to like go to the bathroom, and I tried to go into 2 restaurants.
Okay, wait, go to the bathroom. We're talking like emergency number 2, because that's okay. It's not like I got a pee. Okay,
like I'm like sweating.
No.
I'm like shaking. I go into 2 places, and I asked like, can I use the restroom? And they were like, you have to like sit down and eat. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I ended up having to just like go into like what I thought was like a corner and go to the bathroom on Canal Street in broad daylight.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then this like angel of a woman saw what was like going on. She was like a mom age.
Okay.
And
which is kind of like, our age now, so watch your words there. No, we could be moms.
She was like
an older mom age.
A mom who has like kids in college age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she like sees what's going on, is like, oh my God. So she like goes and gets me like napkins and whatnot, like at a bodega, and then walks, like, make sure like nobody's like around, and then walks with me like behind me to my house to make sure like nobody's like taking any photos, and if like I was okay. She thought I was like drugged or something, and I was like, no, like I just had eggs Benedict. No.
Oh my God.
Like,
Wait, this was broad daylight, like afternoon? What time was this?
Yes, it was broad daylight. Broad daylight. And then like I think like the worst part is that like once I got home and like, you know, handled things, I like Googled and searched on Twitter for hot girl shitting on Canal Street. I was
oh my God.
I was like, surely this is like my
hot
moment.
Girl.
And like it didn't even occur in my head to just Google like girl shitting on canal. It was always like hot girl. And there was no funny. Hits, and I was like, okay, that's
and then
good,
you're like, all right, Pornhub, do your thing. No.
Yeah, but it was like, I mean, it was absolutely mortifying, and it was just like, it was such like an emergency that has never happened to me before, like in my life.
Wow. I mean, I'm glad that it's only happened once. It does seem like a kind of thing that if it's happened once, you will make sure it never happens again. Almost like you'll be prepared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was just like so sudden and just like, it was crazy. Wow. I was like, yeah.
Well, I do.
Yeah. And like,
no, sorry. I was gonna say I have follow-up questions, but I want to hear all the pieces that you have.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that woman was just like the kindest lady ever, and I was just like, I was amazed by her kindness. That was all.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those moments of like New York where people say like New York is such a harsh place. You're like, no, people are kind, you know?
Yeah, like
the kindness of strangers. Yeah,
shitting on a street where people like are brunching, like someone's gonna be like, oh, I get it.
I feel like in LA it would just like people like to say California is nice, but in LA if that happened, someone would just like Insta live it or something very annoying. Like, you know what I mean? Like LA don't love people. Like LA is a little fake.
Yeah, like I'd be like in front of like an Instagram wall. What's happening?
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I'm glad you're okay. And that is a very crazy story, and I'm glad you can laugh about that because that I do get secondhand embarrassment hearing about it. But then because of how you tell it so positively, it does make me feel better too. It's kind of like one of those like, oh, anything can happen, but you're gonna be prepared for it, you know?
Yeah, it was probably like the most embarrassing thing that's like ever happened to me.
And you had no time to think about it.
It was kind of like the best place, right? Because it's New York, so it's like, yeah, you see people like someone's shitting on the street, like, okay, this fucking city, you know, like.
Did people see? Were there people walking by?
There wasn't. Luckily, like where I was, there wasn't that many people walking by, but there was like a trendy, cool, like coffee place, like across the street. So like I don't know, like what was going on over there. I have no idea.
Wow. I mean, that's like very brave. Just like, I don't know because I'm like thinking now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's brave. I just truly had no choice. So I guess, yeah, brave is for sure the word.
Well, there's a couple of choice. I mean, like I'm like thinking what I would do if I had to suddenly poop in the middle of the street and I had nowhere to go. I'm like, there is a world where I would poop in my pants. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know which is better.
Dress, so it's like that wasn't like wasn't an option, and I threw away like the dress.
Oh my God!
Because the memories were.
You didn't want to frame it.
No, I like couldn't. But it was just like, and like for people who have like never like had to like shit their pants, I'm like, you've never had like that sudden quick sensation where it's like, oh, I have no options right now other than to just like answer nature's call.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do. Like, it's crazy. And I like wouldn't believe someone if like I hadn't experienced it. So like, you know, if you ever see someone in an emergency situation, have compassion.
Yeah,
I guess.
of course. I think that's the lesson we've all learned from this post-pandemic is compassion is important. Yeah, okay.
Like,
Okay.
nobody wants to be shitting on the street.
Nobody, if you see someone shitting on the street, just know that was not the first choice for them by far.
Nobody wants this.
Except for there are those stories. Have you seen those news articles where it's like mystery runner pooper? I don't know why. I mean, that must be like a fetish or something, but which is like, I'm not here to kink shame, but if what you're doing is hurting the public hygiene and, I don't know, that is still crossing a boundary. So I'm all for positivity until you're crossing a boundary, and I do think the runners who poop for fun are crossing boundaries, and not in a good way.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, but that is a thing, huh? That I feel like a couple of times people do that.
Yeah, and it's always runners.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's their like alibi is like, well, I was running and I had to poop. I don't know. But yeah, that's okay. So my follow-up question. Okay, I like that you specified you didn't drink. So we all know it was not alcohol related. And it's almost like it's so funny that it is broad daylight because if this were happening at night, I imagine someone would assume that like, oh, she's drunk or like wilding out, But that it's just like in the middle, it's like, oh, she's just handling business. Like seems like that's just the thing that has to happen right now. Like
yeah. Oh. It was, yeah. And then I was like, and then, what?
Well, I was going to say, so the woman, you never got her name. It was just kind of a moment of like, thank you, goodbye. Was it just like, did you guys have a conversation at all? Or was she just like, I know you don't want to talk to me right now or look me in the eyes?
No, she was so nice. So she just like walked with me and I was like crying just because I was like so embarrassed and just like, upset. And she was like, you're okay. Everything's okay. She goes, and she told me, she goes, I'm a mom. I have like a daughter around your age. I would just want to know someone's helping her and like that kind of thing. And then she like walked me to my apartment. Her name was Mary. And
wow, biblical.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think of that. And then, yeah, she just said, you're just tried to like calm me down, and she like knew that like I couldn't really have a real conversation because of what happened.
Wow.
And then I like didn't know like what to do. If I should like go back with like cleaning supplies or something, like
clean the streets of New York. No, I'm sure the streets have seen Canal Street has seen worse.
Yeah, but then it rained, so.
Oh, wow. This is like very like I don't know, what's the word, serendipitous?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to the hot girl shitting part because I think that's so funny and I really talk about the spirit of honesty. That's so honest. It's like funny when you're both honest and the reality is funny, because you did do that. Like I know you well enough to know that when you say that you're not exaggerating, and that's like very funny to me. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Like what were you hoping to find? Like did you want to see like, something?
Before I like searched it in my head, I came up with like a whole PR plan. Like if it went
okay,
viral,
let's hear this plan.
I would like come out and like kind of say like, here's what happened. Like I'm not going to say the restaurant I was at because usually it's pretty good. I don't know what happened today.
What did you have? The eggs Benedict? Okay. No.
Yeah, eggs Benedict, which I haven't had since and never will again. And then I would like just kind of explain, like this is what happened, and I'm thankful for this city and the people in it, and whatever. But yeah, I was convinced. I was like, this is for sure, because it was like the Lower East Side, kind of like trendy. People love having phones. It's our culture.
People and their phones, God.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I'll try and like turn it into like a piece of like the woman who helped me, and then but like this whole plan like before I even searched anything. So I think I was like thinking that like I was gonna find something on like like New York Post or something that was
Uh-huh.
like this girl, because the dress I was wearing was like so cute, and like the shoes that like everything was just it was like
Oh
it was
my
honestly like a
God.
prime story for like for it all. And then I was kind of then there was like a weird part of me that was like, oh, that's like kind like I wasn't like
You're
offended that
disappointed
yeah,
that
like I
nobody.
wasn't. I was just kind of like, oh, am I like not hot enough to be hot girl shitting on Canal? You know,
I
it's
like
like
that you keep going back to that's the thing people are thinking about. Like, pretty sure there's a couple steps before someone's like I don't think someone's like, there's a girl's pooping. Is she hot enough for me to report this? I think
yeah,
I don't know if that's what's crossing people's
yeah, that
minds.
is true. That's true. Like maybe people were just being like kind and decent and just pretending like they didn't notice what was going on, which is honestly like the kindest thing you can do unless you're Mary and just like a saint of a human being.
Phyllis, you're married. Wait, so then now I like that your brain now goes to someone is like, oh, there's a hot girl pooping, but I'm married, so I better leave her alone.
No, I meant like unless you're that woman Mary.
Oh. Oh, okay.
But like
Wait.
also
I
that,
was
yeah,
thinking
for sure.
a guy is like walking by like, ooh, hot girl pooping. Wait, I better keep my blinders on because I'm married.
I'm taken.
Wait, did at all in your mind the scenario of a meet cute go through like hot girl pooping? Well, when she cleans up, she'll see that I'm an angel because I didn't mind.
No,
I saw through the poop, and I saw who she really is. A girl who's not
no,
always pooping.
a misconnection.
A misconnection.
And then like I
This is
guess you
so
get like one of
funny.
the most like awkward parts of a relationship out of the way. It's like, yeah, like I do
Some people
poop.
never get to that part of the relationship, pooping on the street. So, I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
blessed to even start
And like
there.
I got to it with like an entire block. So there you go.
So were you in dating anyone at this point, and did you tell them what happened, and how did they react?
Yes, and yes, I did tell them. So he was at a bachelor party that weekend, and this happened on a Sunday, so he was on his way back. So I texted him just like, oh my God, I shit on Canal Street. And that was the first text he got, like when his plane landed.
Oh my god. Wow.
But no, he was super nice about it. Like he knew that I was like more embarrassed than like anything
Uh-huh.
of it. Like look, everybody like poops. Like that's like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, of course nobody wants to be like pooping on a busy street, so obviously that's mortifying. And he was super just like, it happened. That's that. There's not a thing you can do.
Uh-huh.
And like that's kind of like
That's
yeah, but he was I mean obviously he was like, what the fuck.
Wait, how long had you guys been together at that time?
I think it was over 6 months.
Okay,
Like,
but that's still relatively it's like new enough where it's like you might not have really like pooped in
Yeah.
front of each other or really talked about like gross stuff like that, right? Yeah.
yeah, over 6 months, but not a year.
Uh-huh.
So somewhere in that ball game. But yeah, no, it was like, because what I just wanted is I just needed to be like comforted by the fact that it's like it happened.
Sure.
The only way people are going to know about it is if you talk about it. So
Yes.
here we go. And it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what did I do in my life to have like that woman help me?
Aw.
Like have people be like nice about it. And I really was lucky because like neither of my roommates were home either when I like got home, so I didn't have to like explain why the fuck I was an absolute disaster. So it's like, and then it rained, so it's like, you know,
I mean,
stars
blessed.
really
Hashtag
aligned for me.
blessed.
Yeah, I really lucked out.
Oh my god, it's so positive. I like love your positivity so much because in like it is like they're not like I because it's you and this is your perspective and I think it's so beautiful, but like not everyone would react the way you are now. Like, and I think it's really great how you're reacting. But I think a lot of people, myself included, can learn from that, because throughout this entire thing, it's like you're very good at accepting the facts first, right? Like the fact that something shitty is no pun intended. Truly, I didn't mean to do that. But the fact that you accept that the bad thing's happening, and then you're able to then be like, all right, what's the next step right away? So I think some people do live in the denial part. I mean, not to keep talking about coronavirus, but like in a way, like a lot of people now, still less now, but people are reacting to like not being able to go outside and stuff, before just being like, here's the facts, like we don't like it either, but what's next? People are like, well, I'll just continue as if it's not happening. And I think what you do really well is just being like, this thing is shitty and it happened, but now I've accepted it, so what's next?
Thanks. I mean, I think for me it's just easier in a lot of ways to put, like, if I put kind of like a bookend on it, it's like, all right, it happened. Like, now
you're already spinning it
what?
into a PR. I mean, I love that so much. Like, I mean, like, well, you just got a job. I don't know if we could talk about it yet, but like, I was gonna say that someone needs to give this girl money. Like, she's very good at spinning things and making things go viral, even in the worst situations. So,
No, I was just like, it felt like an out of body like experience. I mean, like, I guess like part of it was out of body, but like, it was just like, and it was like, well, only in New York, but probably a lot of places. Yeah, it was weird. It was crazy.
well, that's the other thing too, is it happening to you, even though it felt like this crazy thing you never experienced. Like, just by statistics and us knowing how the world works, like that has definitely happened to someone else. You know, like you going
Right.
through that, now you know for sure, like, okay, I'm definitely not alone, and this has happened to someone else, and that's like kind
Yeah,
of comforting.
and there's been times in New York, it's probably like happened to you, like when you're walking home at night and you see like a girl like by herself, like struggling, or like she's like throwing up or something, and it's like, you know, you do what you can to try and see if she's safe without scaring. You know, I don't know. I just think like people, when they can, try their best to take care of one another.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's more good like that than there is bad, and of course there's a lot of bad, which is what the good people try and avoid.
I think to your point about only in New York, but also that there's always kind of people. I think sometimes when you live in a big city that feels so impersonal, we almost go more out of our way to help each other. I mean, I've lived now in both LA and New York, and I think people do help each other in LA, but in New York, I definitely found there's a more of an immediate connection. Like, you
Yeah,
have
there's like
to
a
share.
camaraderie.
Yeah, you have to share this space, and it's already so overcrowded that like, and you know, I wasn't there during 9/11, but I feel like that the spirit of like the city coming together is really strong in New York, and it trickles down to even an individual like ridiculous scenario like pooping on the street. Like, people
Yeah.
are gonna help you, you know.
And like that's like, it's been weird because it's like obviously New York is, you know, going through a really hard time right now, and there was like a part of me that like really misses New York like right now, just because like I know that like in times like this you find your New York family, like people go back to just like the most basic sense of like connection and like survival, and like although like you're not physically together, I do feel like in places like New York and probably like San Francisco or like wherever, like you just have that like we really are all in this together, you know?
Yeah, I think and big cities often have like a lot of not I don't know, misfits the word, but just like oddballs or people who maybe like didn't fit in their small towns and find their people in big cities. And so I've really always liked that spirit too, because there's a sense of, and I'm very lucky to still, you know, be on good terms with my family, but like a lot of times in big cities you have people who don't have actual family really that they can talk to. So you do find your, you know, chosen family. And there's something there's something I found I missed about New York that I didn't realize I'd miss when I moved to LA. This is so specific, so tell me if you relate, but like over like Thanksgiving or Christmas break, like these big holidays, oftentimes, you know, a lot of people leave to go home, but then there's a lot of people who have to stay because for many reasons, like either they're not on good terms with their family or they can't afford it or whatever. I really miss being in New York. There's like a sad feeling of being in New York on Thanksgiving that's totally overridden by people trying to compensate for being sad. So a couple of times I've been there because it's just too much to go home. And I banded together with like mostly comedians usually, but someone will organize something where it's like, we're all here and alone and orphaned on Thanksgiving, so let's get together and do something. And it starts by being like the sad feeling, and it's overridden by like this overwhelming like camaraderie and joy, to the point where I almost sometimes miss that over going home. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, because I still love going home.
So much sense.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, kind of similarly, like, you know, I'm on good terms with my family and everything, but there's something like very special and unique and magical about the families that you find on your way in New York, you know, and everybody, like, there was even sometimes events or stuff that I would go to that was centered around like, oh, like most people are with family, and everybody like welcomes you with like open arms, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't necessarily even have to be like super tight with whoever is hosting it. They like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. The Chris Gethard show, when it was a public access show at MNN so many years ago. I'm really dating myself here. It's funny, when we talk, I feel like it's very easy for me to jump back into that time of my life, because that's when, you know, we were doing the most things together. And that time, so he used to host this like public access show for people who aren't familiar. And it was very like punk rock, sort of like, you know, anything goes, because, you know, it wasn't on national television. And before Thanksgiving, the night before, he would do something called Sandwich Night, where everyone just brings a piece of a sandwich. It originally started for people who couldn't leave the city. It was like, again, that sort of sad, like, oh, everyone's leaving, let's do something to compensate. But then it became this thing people looked forward to. And because I didn't go home, I would go to it, and it was very nice. Like, I really missed that, like, you know, you just bring like bread or avocado or like one thing, and then you walk around and you just make a sandwich with everybody else. And it was so fun and so nice.
Yeah, it's so fun, and it feels small, but it's not. It means so much, you know?
Yeah, man, I really love that so much. But okay, I had something else I'm totally forgetting. My brain is just like mush. Oh, okay, I just thought, okay, would you consider that like your rock bottom moment?
That, I guess in terms of like my rock bottom public moment.
Okay. I think it's funny. The reason I asked that is because I just think there's something fun. I mean, I think because I personally have also, like, you know, gone sober and here and there, whatever. And one thing that I've noticed is like rock bottoms can happen whether you're drunk or sober. Like, that's what I realized is like when I quit drinking for 15 months and then I still had like breakdowns, I was like, looks like I still have work to do. Like, the thing, like the drinking was the Band-Aid I put on the wound, but I still have to heal the wound, you know? And so that's kind of why I asked, because I think it's funny it's funny, but also I think true to be like, yeah, this happened totally sober. Anything can happen all the time. You just have to have the right attitude to handle.
Yeah, and like, you know, I've been drunk a bunch and have done some stupid stuff, and, you know, this was for sure like the most like embarrassing thing, because and also it's like I wasn't drunk, so I was fully there for all of it, you know?
That's so funny. Like, would it have been worse or better if you were drunk? Because I feel like you would have blamed it on the alcohol.
I think worse, because I would have like invented it being like, and I don't think I would have like been able to like be like, okay, this is happening, next. Like, I would have just like been crying from like embarrassment or something, you know?
Yes. I weirdly never pooped my pants drunk, although I feel like I should have when I think about how much of a mess I was sometimes. But I have had rock bottoms drunk, and I used to just be like, well, it must just be the alcohol. And then, you know, quitting drinking fully for like over a year, and then still having those kind of emotional breakdowns out in public, crying at bars. Sober, I'm like, I relate to like, yeah, I was there for that. I was present, fully sober, crying, yelling at a bar. So was not the alcohol's fault, was fully my fault. But it did help me in my journey to like figure that out. So now I feel like my relationship with alcohol has always been like, I don't know. I don't claim to be a sober person because I think for me it was like a period of my life where I wasn't using it right, and then I had to figure out the problem, and now I feel like, okay, it's not that isn't. Well, quitting didn't solve the problem either. So now I'm like, I have to actually like do this 360 triage on myself, which
And I feel like there was such like I don't know, at least like when we were like in college and then those couple years after, I think like most people I know had like a drinking problem at that point in their life, like myself included, you know, because it was like, I mean, not that it wasn't like not a problem, just like not
I know what
like
you mean. A control issue.
Like a volume control issue, I guess it would be.
Yeah, you're figuring it out. Like, as long as you don't end there, I think things aren't black and white, right? Like, it's like a scale. Like, you're maybe using it more and more and more, and then you're like, oh, I've tipped the scale, now it's time to scale back. And some people are better about finding that limit. Some people need a little extra help to find that limit. And I think for me, it was just, I needed to kind of like walk away from it and realize where I was emotionally without it. And now I think, but it's a journey. I think everyone's different. Everybody's wired differently.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I think it can like always be like evolving and changing, and just like everything, you know.
Yeah, but there's nothing more sobering than realizing you still can have bad moments without, even when you cut out the bad stuff. Because life is that. Life is not. You just can't avoid the bad. There's no way you can avoid. How you can control how you react to it, which I think you did very beautifully in the story, but you can't, just because you're always positive doesn't mean negative things won't happen, you know?
Yeah, and doesn't mean that, like, I think that also something that, like, I struggle with sometimes. It's like, you can be a positive person, but you can still be upset about things.
Yes, you know? Can let the negative emotions in. That's okay.
Yeah, and, like, you should, because it's like, okay, then you're not being honest with what's going on, right?
Yes.
It's like, well... yeah, I don't feel great about shitting on him now. Like, great, that was awesome, you know, but...
it would have been insane if that happened and you immediately skipped to feeling good about it. If you're like, well, I guess this is my day today. This is all what I wanted to do all along. Like, that would have been
I guess this
insane.
is just my brand. Like, no.
And some people are like that. Some people, when bad things happen, they just smile and they're like, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. And you're like, you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be like, I wanted this thing and it didn't go my way. That doesn't make you a bad person to feel anger or sadness. You have to feel it and then, you know, move on. But I think you, I mean, I don't know. I think it's really inspiring to hear just like the way that you kind of like feel the bad things and then feel the good things. And then it's fun. Yeah, it's really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that story.
You're welcome. And hopefully, yeah.
I feel like it was very honest, very much in the spirit of this podcast. I want to end with a game. Do you want to play a game?
Okay.
Okay, this game is actually, I guess, kind of related to what we're talking about. It's called Truth or Lie to Me. So we're talking about brutal honesty, you know, honesty to yourself, honesty to other people. I do think I have a problem with the term brutal honesty, though, because it's like, if you have to call it brutal, it's not always good, right? Like, it could just be honesty. But people use that as an excuse to be like, well, you know, I'm trying to be honest. But I don't think that's always the case. Like, I don't think your acquaintance, Jessica, really needs to know that her thirst traps are your inspiration for what not to do after a breakup, you know? Like, do you need to ever hear from a Tinder date that your elbows are weird and that's why he doesn't want to talk to you? So sometimes, like a white Zinfandel, white lies do make reality go down better. And if that doesn't work, you can just cry yourself to sleep, which is what I do. Okay, in this game, I'm going to give you some scenarios and just tell me if you would want to hear the truth in that scenario or if you'd want a little white lie action. And we can discuss if you have comments on it. But it's just pretty simple, straightforward, no right or wrong answer. Just fun, get to know you game. Okay, so, someone doesn't want to come to your birthday party. Truth or lie to me?
Lie to me. Yeah.
Okay. Someone doesn't want to come to your improv show.
Truth, that's fine. That's totally fair.
Totally fair. Okay, you ask a friend, okay, this is for, you're a comedian, you do a set, you say, how was my set? And they think it was bad.
I think I'd want them to be honest, but gently.
Okay.
You know?
You want, okay, yes, I think I would agree. Something that I feel strongly about is if I ask for an opinion, like about my work, I want the truth. And if I don't want the truth, I won't ask. That tends to be how I am. Some people do just want to hear it was good, though. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You have to get to know someone before you tell them the truth.
It's like, and I think it's like there's tiers. Like if someone like doesn't do any comedy at all and they just like happen to be there and they want to talk to me about how bad it was, like I'm not sure I want that. But someone who like is familiar with the comedy world and I'm like, yeah, I want it from you.
True. You know? And I think the key there is you ask them, right? Because I would never ask a rando reply guy for a tag, yet they keep giving them to me. So stop doing that, sir. Okay. You went on 3 dates with someone you really like, but they're no longer feeling it. Truth or lie to me?
I want to lie. I mean, the thing is, like, in either scenario, I'm probably still going to text them without them replying for, like, a couple months, you know?
Like, right, so you'll get the truth, but you don't want to hear it from them.
Yeah.
But based on the actions, you'll get the truth. So what kind of lie is, like, acceptable there? Because I do think, actually, people do struggle with how to let someone down and when it's like there's nothing wrong with them, they're not an asshole to, like, they just don't feel it. What do they say?
I think I would just like need something like I'm moving to Serbia or like
okay, so full on lie. That's not a white lie. That's like
so, like a lie that like I
lie.
know it's like laughable, but I'm like okay, got it.
Oh, okay,
like,
a little humor. Oh, so in a way where you know it's a lie. Like if I wasn't into someone, like, hey, I had a lot of fun, but the doctor just told me I have 2 days to live, so not gonna work out, like something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just something that's like
it's like, okay, I know what you mean, but
I do think like for sure, like having been like ghosted a lot, I do think that like no matter what, just text the person,
say something. Yeah, okay,
say something.
Agree. I've never understood ghosting truly, because even when I've been on the end of not wanting to respond, I've been like, it's really hard to not respond if someone double texts, like begging for a response. And except for the case of someone being a total dick and not getting the message, I always at least give a first response and saying like, okay, here, I validate what you've said. I hear you. Right. And then here's where I stand. Okay, now end of convo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. How about you've been dating someone regularly for about a month, they're no longer feeling it, but you haven't officially, become, so that you're kind of like on your way to a relationship, but you haven't officially had the talk, or however long that is for you, 2 months maybe. I don't know how long people, but you know what I mean? Like you're kind of like on your way. Yeah.
I think that warrants a talk and a discussion. And I think that like if a month in they're feeling that way, or 2 months, that should be like a back and forth combo. But yeah, like don't go on with something just because. But there, I wouldn't want a white lie. I think I would just want like, because I would want to know one, if like there's something going on like in their life that they just don't have the capacity for relationship, and two, like if there's something that could be worked on. Because sometimes I feel like with some people that I've dated, it's like things become super black and white, and it's like, well, I think as women anyway, we're taught to like, you can work through things, you can like emotionally take on things and then see where you're at, but I don't think men do that like as much.
Right. I agree. Sometimes that's why they feel hot and cold. But I've been recently was in a situation where I tried to exercise brutal honesty, and it wasn't met well, but I realized it's okay. Because I live my life that way, and I'm like, I'll still do that, because you can only control how you act. And I had to just accept that you're not always going to get a reaction you like, and that's okay. Like, I guess to elaborate more, I think I showed you the text, so you know it, but it was a situation like this where it wasn't a relationship, but we had been, like moving along, and then I just realized, like, yes, I could technically work through things, but sometimes you realize, like, do I want to? This doesn't feel like it will go there for me, and I won't get there, and there's no point. So then I kind of told her that, like, hey, I like you, which I did, but I don't think this is going to be in a relationship, and I want to be present, and I don't feel like I'm fully present, and there's no way to explain that, right? It's not like, I don't know why. There's no one reason. Like, someone can be so, like, attractive and cool and funny and smart, and then a couple months in, you're like, we're just not the fit. So I told her that,
especially if the like other person isn't on that same page, like there's nothing you can say that's going to rationalize it for them.
Sure. Yeah, but then when I told her that, she kept kind of like digging for another reason, and I realized like it's okay. if someone wants more reasons, as long as you say your truth, that's it. But it is
Yeah.
tough. It's tough because for a moment when I was met with negativity, I did want to like shrink down and be like, well, maybe I should have ghosted. So I get that instinct, but I
Yeah.
think if you push through and just know their reaction is how they react and they're allowed to, and you don't have to let it.
I mean, there's no
yeah.
good way to break things off, you know?
Yeah,
People,
it's not good.
it
It's
sucks.
like the shitting on the street. The thing itself sucks, but it's happening,
Yeah.
so move on. Yeah.
Exactly. Breaking up is like shitting on a street.
Oh my
Like, it
God,
sucks.
I love
Nobody
that.
wants it. And
I love that. Okay, a couple more. Your breath smells. Truth or lie to me?
truth.
Okay. You ask someone to recommend you for a job but that they don't think is right for you. Truth or lie to me?
I think just question me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what do you like about this job? You know,
Gotcha.
what do you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is
And
a
then-
tough one. Yeah, because I don't know. It's so hard to hear like the truth sometimes, but I personally I'm like, if it is the truth and it's something I really want, then I think I want to hear it because I want to know
Yeah.
how to get there,
Right.
if that makes sense.
And I think a lot of times too with jobs, I mean, right now it's so crazy, but like you get so caught up with getting a job, not like the job that might be good for
yeah.
you. So yeah, I think I'd want to hear truth maybe.
Yeah, because maybe what if they are right and then I realize like I've been trying for the wrong thing. So yeah, it's tough,
or they
but I
might have
think-
insights that you're not noticing. So yeah, I think I'd want to hear truth.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Two more. You ask your best friends if they like the person you're dating and they don't. Truth or
Truth.
lie to me. Okay.
Truth.
Would you hear that though? Because I feel like I've been in the situation where I've been like, well, I'll just stop telling you guys about him because you hate
Oh
him.
yeah, no, I don't know. if
And
I'll
then
cut
later
them
I
off.
realized they were right all along. They're always right.
Yeah,
Your friends are
like-
always right.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like, you know, I'm in my third decade around the sun here, and like your friends, you're 100% of the time, your friends are always right about the person you're dating.
Yes, because they like you and they
Yeah.
know you and they want the best for you and they're never trying to sabotage you. Well, I mean, I guess unless you have toxic friends, but in this scenario, you trust your friends and they're cool. Like,
Yeah.
given
But
all that,
100% of the time,
yeah.
they're right.
Yes, because they want the best for you. Okay, finally, you asked your friends if you think you'd look good with bangs.
Oh, truth. They did tell me the truth, and I didn't like it one time, so.
Oh my God. I know. I tailored that for you because you had a sketch about it. Well, thanks for playing. I think we learned a lot and I really enjoyed this combo.
Same. Hopefully people aren't like too grossed out. It was an emergency and it was crazy.
No, I think people will relate. Can you tell us where to find you?
Yeah, on Twitter and Instagram at Mel Owens. MELOWENS.
Ooh, okay. I'm like having a coughing fit, so I'm gonna 1 second.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Teresa just drank tea, so that's why she's coughing and it went down the wrong pipe. Everybody.
Oh, okay. I only have to sign off now. Okay. You can follow this podcast at Tell Me Anything Pod. Follow me at Teresa T on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mel. Goodbye.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Stay safe. Stay healthy.